Good morning, everyone. We're going to be running a webinar this morning on the Clean Tech Research R&D Voucher Program from the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes as participants are joining the webinar to give everyone a chance. So just hang tight and it'll just be 2 or 3 minutes and we'll get started. Thank you. So while we're waiting to officially get started, obviously for any of the participants, if you have any questions for the presenters, there is a Q&A button down at the bottom that looks like 2 talking chat boxes that you can put your questions in the Q&A, and we will be answering those questions for you. What we're going to be doing this morning is we'll give a quick overview of the Clean Tech R&D Voucher Program, and then you will have an opportunity to listen to some brief presentations about the capabilities of New Jersey research universities who are participating in the program, so that as early stage startup companies, you'll have a sense of the kinds of capabilities that our universities have that may be useful for you as you are developing your products and services. As I said, we'll be going through each of the universities in alphabetical order, so you'll get a chance to see the kinds of capabilities. If you're going to have additional questions that are not answered, that we don't have time to answer during the webinar, you'll also have the ability to reach out to the individual faculty at our universities to have some conversations about their capabilities. And maybe with that too, we will start the presentation with a quick overview of the Clean Tech R&D Voucher Program. The Clean Tech R&D Voucher Program is really a joint initiative from the Board of Public Utilities, the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. It is a program that is really aligned with support of the state's initiatives. On the next slide, you'll see that this is really a program that has a couple of pieces to it. We have an asset map that we'll talk about in a little bit that helps to improve the awareness and access to and utilization of some of the leading equipment and research taking place at our universities, the equipment, the facilities, the maker spaces that we really want to make available to the early stage innovation-based ecosystem within New Jersey. The voucher program helps to subsidize access to this equipment and facilities to make it more cost-effective for our early stage companies who are developing early stage innovative clean tech and clean energy companies to leverage the assets and resources at our universities. A little bit later in the program, we'll show you how to navigate the asset map to help you find potential facilities that may be valuable to the kind and effective for helping you with the development work that you are working on. The next slide just gives a quick overview of the program. The program is supporting early stage clean tech, clean energy companies to help them accelerate their development, to help accelerate the transformation of these discoveries from the research stage along the commercialization pathways to get your development to a point which will lead to industry and investor interest. We have a total of $435,000 available in award funding that has been supported from the Board of Public Utility. This money can be used for companies who are developing or testing clean technologies that are intended to avoid emissions of or recapture of greenhouse gases and or criteria pollutants, or to enable such avoidance or recapture. The kinds of development projects can be in a fairly wide range of areas. It could be chemicals and advanced materials, energy distribution and storage, energy efficiency, energy generation, green buildings, transportation, waste processing, water, and agriculture. Because we're working and supporting early stage companies, we want them to be at a technology readiness level of 1, which is basic research, all the way up to technology readiness level 7, which is integrated pilot systems that have been demonstrated. And these technology readiness levels are ones that have been defined from the Department of Energy. We have 2 levels of subsidy. If a company has 10 or fewer full-time employees that are calculated on a full-time equivalent basis, that company can receive a 75% subsidy on the cost of the service or access to the facility. For companies who have between 11 and 50 full-time employees, that subsidy will be 50%. So again, for the really small companies, the company will pay 25% of the cost, and the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology will pay 75% of the cost. For companies who have between 11 and 50 employees, that cost share is 50-50. On the next slide, we have a couple more details about the program. Each eligible company can apply for multiple vouchers up to a cap of $15,000 in aggregate over a 12-month period, which is measured from the time of the first voucher that you're using. So as an example, you may have a voucher because you're doing some work at, let's say, Montclair State University for $5,000. You can then later on during that 12-month period, assuming that there are still funds available in the voucher pool, apply for a second voucher that might be used again at Montclair or might be used at Stevens or one of the other universities. Each approved voucher is valid for a 3-month period of time, and you can apply for a one-time no-cost extension, which will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So we're not asking you to put in for a 12-month period of time for the work that you want to be doing, but what amount of work is going to be done in that 3-month period of time. You'll work with the facility to determine the cost, and then you can come back and get other vouchers, again, assuming that there are funds available. If the voucher is unused, it becomes invalid after that period of time, and those unused funds are returned to the program budget for future use unless, as we said, an extension was approved. Now, what can you use the vouchers for? You can use the vouchers for use of equipment or technicians who might be doing testing and development. In some instances, the facility will be doing all the work for you. In other instances, you may be able to get some training, and potentially a facility on a case-by-case basis, you may be able to go in and run the experiments and work at the facility yourself. And that's something that is determined with the facility. You may not use these vouchers for manufacturing of products for commercial sale. This is not the intent. This is a research and development activity, and we are reviewing applications on a rolling basis, and we'll do so until program funds run out. We're in the early days of this program. This is the pilot program from the Board of Public Utilities, so we're anxious to get more applications coming in. The next slide shows the application and review process, and there's a couple of points that we really want to highlight on this slide. A company will start an application process on our CSIT website. You'll go into the website, you'll put in some information about what you're looking to be able to do. We'll determine eligibility, and you may or may not know which facility you'd like to work with. So you may, as an example, have already been working with one of our academic facilities. Then you'll write down, I would like to, and the question that gets asked, you can write down, here's the university that I'd like to be able to work with. In other instances, you may not know which university you'd like to be able to work with. In that instance, you'll write down, I don't have a particular preference, but you'll let us know the kind of work that you're looking to do. We then, in step 2 and step 3, review your information for eligibility. We meet periodically with the university committee made up of representatives that you're going to be hearing from this morning to review the applications to determine who may be able to work with you. And then the facility and you as the startup company will review and negotiate what scope of work you're going to do, any intellectual property negotiations, if that's appropriate for using them, if there's any application for using their facility, you'll have to sign those agreements with the facility, and then you'll get a letter from the facility indicating that they can do the project for you, and our facility people know what needs to go onto those letters in terms of the timing of the work that's going to be done and the cost. You then mail that letter back to us, so now we're in the green circle. You'll get a submission code so that you can complete your application. You'll submit all of that documentation to us. We will then issue a voucher approval letter, agreements to be signed by all of the parties. You'll go off and do your work with the universities. And when your project is complete, there's some reports that come back to the commission telling us what was achieved. It's important to know that we need reports on what was accomplished, because in order to get more funding into these kinds of programs, we need to be able to let the Board of Public Utilities and other people know how valuable this access is to the development of new products and services. So the information that we're asking is really helpful in terms of ensuring that we've got continued support for these types of programs. On the next slide, again, this talks about the two places really where you as a startup company are required to provide information. You let us know the kind of work that is going to be done. You need to be a company that's registered to do business in New Jersey at the time of application. So you're going to need to have a current tax clearance. You can have no more than 50 full-time employees, because again, we're targeting early stage younger companies. On the other hand, you do need to have one full-time or full-time equivalent employee working on the project in New Jersey at the time of application. And 100% of the project for which the work is being done needs to be conducted in New Jersey. Then again, coming into step 5, you'll get some approval letters from the New Jersey University confirming that the facility is able to do the work, and you'll then move on to the rest of the submission process. Fatu is going to talk briefly in the next slide about our clean tech asset map. So now with that, we're going to move over to some of our university presentations, and our first university that is going to be presenting is Montclair State with Dr. Lau. Okay, we see your screen perfectly, Dr. Lau. I think you might be on mute.
Okay, so thank you all, and thank you, Judith. I'm very glad to be here. I'm Pankaj Lal. I'm a professor and I direct Clean Energy and Sustainability Analytics Center. And we are glad to show you our university core facilities. So the way we have done is like a brief introduction about what the center is, the Clean Energy and Sustainability Analytics Center. Then we'll run you through some of our dry labs, what we do, and also our wet labs, and how we think how we can partner and collaborate with you all. So in a very quick run is like clean energy, or we'll say CSIT. One of the mandate of this is faculty student research in the area of clean energy, and policymakers, businesses, and organizations in clean energy and transportation initiative development. So being in a public university setting, technical assistance center, so this is one of the mandates. So this R&D voucher program fits wonderfully well with our mandate. So that's the way I'll say, like, and the idea is that co-working space for tech innovation is one of the things that we will like to participate in if there is interest from the startup side and others. So that idea will be test, develop, and scale up clean energy, clean tech ideas based on the different sectors that Judith already identified. So we'll like to participate in that and support the best we can. And in terms of CSAC, like we have a team in place, like who do research with, we have worked with DEP, Board of Public Utilities and others. So we are a group of, think about a cross-disciplinary group in a way, like analytics side comes out with applied mathematics, and then computer science, the economic side, policy side, as well as the research from the chemistry group or the biochemistry, material science, and also the like water side, clean energy is integrated with energy, water, food nexus. So we take a holistic approach towards that. And the idea here is like at the university, we apply analysis to support, advise, train our clients to recommend implementation strategies. And again, I'll reiterate that shared resources or collaboration to cutting edge technology and research. Judith, I see a hand up. So should I answer right now or later?
Why don't you go through the presentation, then we'll come back to the questions.
Okay, thank you. In terms of, again, analytic techniques for novel purposes, so modeling, one of the things that we have done for Board of Public Utilities in last 3 years and others, like we have developed an NJ power model. So economy-wide CGE model, which we think general equilibrium model, which we use to assess the RGGI leakage emissions, where energy dispatch model and economic models are integrated together. We also work with them to assess the community solar program in the pilot scale. And we are thinking about how it can be applied in other areas like moratorium, like if the moratorium goes away, what might be the economic impact. But the way it is, like it's not just one model, but a prototype of different modeling, energy and economic and environmental model together, which comes from geospatial, behavioral, resilience, financial, emission and energy model. So we are doing this. NJ Power is like we were developed in collaboration with Argonne National Lab as well as the university one. So we think that there is quite a bit of application in terms of RPS, energy efficiency, solar, battery storage, and others. So it can be scaled down or scaled up. Like if some of the things that if we are approaching grant writing or others, like what might be the economic impact in terms of simply saying that in the county, what will be the jobs created or others if it is scaled up, if you are arguing for SBI or other funds. So these models or others help us out in terms of not just emission reduction, but also economic impacts and others, which a lot of the grants and even the support funds or R&D funds are saying that what might be the outputs and outcomes. So there we have developed a model in last 3 years. So we'll calibrate and we can work on that and we can facilitate that along with our technicians and researchers. The same way that what we did is like we have developed in 3 stages, like input output model, which is like what might be the impact in one sector. Like for example, energy sector, it might impact transportation, tourism or other sectors. So that is a distributional impact in terms of what might be the equity impact, who might be impacted, the income wise, it can be region wise, it can be sector wise impacts. So we can do those kind of model. It can be ramped up or ramped down in terms of NJ to the regional like RGGI, or even if you have to ramp up to the global or US model, we have the capability to do that. That is in terms of, I'll not go into the detail, these slides will be shared, but if somebody is interested, I'll be happy to talk about like what are the different aspects of it, how do we do, and in terms of like policy and decision making, it can support at the economy-wide level in for thinking like New Jersey or county or even subsector impacts with sub-county level also it can be done. Some of the applications, renewable energy deployment in terms of New Jersey, we are going through a transition phase in terms of a lot is happening to meet our 2050 like goal of clean energy, like so zero emission, so community solar, NJ emission standard, energy efficiency, storage. We are working with the state agency as well as the outside agency on this, like as I said, leakage analysis, carbon pricing. We are also working with the corporate and others, like we are like Orsted, we have a partnership, we are ENBW, North America and others. We are looking at greening energy supply chain, how it can be integrated with, for example, environmental impact assessment and others, that the supply chain has logistic aspect as well as the greenhouse gas reduction and environmental impact assessment. So those are some of the things we are working or we are planning to work on that, and transportation sector, climate change mitigation, public health impact. And one of the things that what we are doing is network optimization, like disease modeling, like Asbora, how it can impact the utilities or even at the sub-utility level, like the electric lines and others, means what is the probability and what kind of investments will be required in future. And obviously machine learning and artificial intelligence, like the data analytics part or the big data side. So these are some of the things that we are working on. On the environmental side, like we have worked on the geothermal. We are also working on the wind energy side, like what we say, life cycle assessment, carbon footprinting, water footprinting, and other approaches to environmental impact assessment. And cradle to grave or cradle to cradle analysis means we have the capability and we do that. We published on the geothermal one in very recent in New Jersey. We are working on the peer-reviewed publication on the offshore wind side. So the basic idea here is like we have the capability and we are working on tools that can be applied in real world. Like if the startups and others, if you are looking for a quick technical output, like if you are thinking about ramping up and justifying your work, what kind of emissions, what kind of material, and if we do this way in terms of technological innovation, what might be the impact, and arguing in terms of not just grant or venture capitalists, but other areas. These are things are required these ways, that how much reduction is actually happening, carbon as well as other sectors like ecotoxicity as well as others. We can work on that. So the other aspect is based on our experience. We have a group who provide training, technical support services that can help deliver more environmentally, socially, and sustainable decision and tech space. So it depends on the requirement. It can be hand-holding, like it can be a technical analysis. We have this technology that we want to work on, what kind of impact might be there, to basically working along with our team that we want this kind of analysis, technical support plus training so that we can do it in future, how well to do it in. So those kind of things, we do that. On the other side, we also think that social sustainability has an impact in terms of who is being impacted. So scientific survey support systems like collaborative research, utilizing multiple mode, like who are the stakeholders, what might be the impact in terms of different medium of research. These are required to deliver high quality data and analysis. So we follow industry's best practices and future best practices in terms of being an academic setting. Like we have a very heavy work on in terms of peer-reviewed publication. We valued publication that all the methods and others should be in the public domain and peer-reviewed. And some of the things that we have done, like for example, willingness to pay, accept analysis, that if the tech is scaled up, that who will be the funder? Is it a public-private partnership? Whom, like municipalities or others, means can it be ramped up? Can it be part, like there can be a portion where different stakeholders are willing to cost share. Then market research support, participation or product acceptance, best first scaling research, which is a recent one where it is like to reduce the response bias. And we support survey design, administration, and analysis in a way. But this is what we have been doing and we facilitate. But the other part is like we have a larger ecosystem, university and beyond, where we use research facility used by students, faculty, staff, and even industrial partners like dry labs, computing and analytics, wet lab spaces, infrastructure, resources, training, support. And this comes through different sides like statistical, spatial, economic, and technological tool and instrumentation. That I'll highlight that what our collaborators or what within the university space, what we can facilitate. One of the things that we have a high performance computing cluster that we can collaborate with if there is a need. These are like resource intensive and heavy. So we have like NSF funded these HPC clusters, and there are storage capacity if there is need, means the collaboration space is set up that we can work along, that you can, through our university partnership, we can facilitate this kind of work, which can go into data science, energy sustainability, biology, genomics, geomorph, land use, computational math, applied math, analytics, linguistics. So this is one of the areas which we are looking at ramping up. The other is like some of the innovative work through our faculty and a group of faculty work. So one is the cross lab, which we say is collaborative robotics and smart systems lab. So cross-disciplinary application in smart manufacturing, intelligent transportation, aerospace, healthcare, smart agriculture, interactive learning. And I just picked one of the example like deep learning based autonomous vehicle parking. This is one of the areas where our Dr. Wang and his group is working on. So if somebody is interested in transportation side, we'll be very happy to work along with you. Another model that we have is Stats Consulting Center. Some of the times, like in the marketplace, being a technical assistance center or a public university setup, statistical consulting at a very reasonable rate means we have, and it is not just to the faculty and proposals within the university, but also outside. For example, Seton Hall and others use our facilities, Stat Consulting Center, which works at two levels, grad students and faculty support in terms of advice, design, analysis, and interpretation, which is geared towards if there is a data there, if you need some support in that part, or it can be as low as few $1,000s to as high means in terms of larger proposals or others. If these are, so we have like within the university systems, we are opening it up to our business partner or the startup who are interested in benefiting from this. The other part is like sustainable, like battery storage. Our groups are working on that. So we have the facilities where we can partner with you in terms of lithium-ion battery in sustainable fashion. So we have furnace, vacuum oven, Bruker, NMR, and others. So recycle cathode, anode. So these are some of the work. Like if the businesses are interested or you are interested in material characterization or collaboration or partnership in that area, we'll be very happy to work along with you on that. Again, another one is like greener alternative of binder, like bio-inspired tools and others. We have facilities of microwave synthesizer, peptide workstations, freezer dryers, spin coater, and characterization of ESI, MS. So again, as we said, like these are based on the peer-reviewed work. So these are well-established industry level one. And if you are looking for technical analysis or even sample analysis or others, we'll be happy to do that and work along with you. The other area that we are working is electrochemistry and chemical sensing. And here we are doing scanning electrochemical probe workstation, 3D printing, and how it can be applied in battery storage or semiconductor innovations. And we have the facilities where we can partner with you in terms of laser cutting, microelectrode. And so these are some of the things which we already have, and we'll be happy to work along with you. On the other side, we have the water research or clean water and integrated water energy research, where our faculties are working on chemical and physical principles to mitigate contaminants in different environmental systems to improve resilience and sustainability in terms of public and ecological health. And some of the applications can be in terms of drinking water, wastewater reuse, energy efficiency, industrial water treatment, stormwater treatment, household water treatment, and others. So we'll be happy to work along with you. And some of the things that we have through different agencies and even the university support, Dr. Deng and his group are eager to work along with you. So some of the things will be like Agilent, triple quadruple LCMS, ICP-MS, DOC analyzer, dynamic imaging analyzer, and nano. So these are some of the things that we are working on, or we can help you out. Another thing that we wanted to highlight is water analysis lab, like New Jersey Center for Water Science and Tech, which is an NJDEP certified lab. And we have been working along with the businesses and others for partnership and testing. So some of the things it can be certified. We are certified for analysis in terms of the other methods. I'll not go into each of them, but just to showcase that we have a wide array of facility that we can make available to our partners or others like you. We'll be happy to work because we are in a public setting space where we want to work with you, be it electron microscope or others. Means we will be happy to share our resources, chemical geology, geochemical testing, geophysical testing, computer GIS, remote sensing. Again, we are thinking about the ecosystem can be different methods. It can be sample testing where you are sent something, you want something where it is more like a testing space. It can be a longer term collaboration. So we are open to that. That's the way we'll say, like Montclair State University, since I'm speaking on behalf, we look forward to your partnership and collaboration, and we are excited for this voucher program. That's what I had, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you, Dr. Lal, and I think you're getting in this last slide a real nice view of some of the facilities at the Montclair State campus. Let me see if there's anything quickly in the Q&A. So I guess I would ask people, if you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A down at the bottom, and we'll be able to perhaps address them after everyone has completed their presentations. At this point, I'm going to ask, I guess there's a question asking, will we be able to get copies of the presentations? Yes, and we will also post the presentations on the CSIT website. But yes, we will make copies of the material available. So at this point, I'm going to ask Montclair State to stop sharing their screen, and we're going to move over to, in alphabetical order, New Jersey Institute of Technology, and Dr. Soumitra will be giving a presentation.
All right, all of you can see my presentation?
Somehow we now are just seeing your list of files. Okay, and then you might want to see if you can get into
okay, well, what about now? Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, we can see your presentation.
All right, so
perfect.
So good morning, everyone. I'm basically putting together a very general overview of what we have at New Jersey Institute of Technology. So we have three major core facilities. The first one is the Otto Center, and this one is a chemical and material characterization facility. It has 25 major instruments and many smaller instruments. This is a microelectronic clean room type facility for MEMS and device fabrication. And this is makerspace, which is, which is a relatively conventional makerspace with all kinds of equipment for rapid prototyping. So these are the three university funded fee for service facilities. And on top of that, we have several, about 60 research labs, which I cannot really put in a list here because this is a small 10-minute presentation, but these are in these various broad areas, where we have bioscience and engineering, data science, sustainability, material science, and so on and so forth. So these you can see on our website, and I would not be able to go through this, but they all have their own set of equipments. For example, I'll give you an example, nanotechnology. There are at least 5 labs which have all kinds of nanotechnology-based equipment. There is membranes. We have an NSF Center for membranes. We have 3 faculty that have, big membrane laboratories. We have battery, and so on and so forth. So there's a variety of other things that, anyone trying to collaborate, have access to these facilities, which I will not be going into much details. All right, so to begin with, I want to talk about the Otto Center core facilities. And this is, again, the facilities which provides a lot of the basic analysis, chemistry, material science, and environmental analysis. And this has 4 full-time staff members who are actually experts in the area, and they train students and also do analysis on a fee for service. And this one, currently we have about 125 graduate students that are actually graduate students and postdocs that use this facility. And we have about 20 companies that use them. So again, I will not be going into details, but suffice it to say, we can classify all the things that we do under chemical analysis, environmental measurement, material characterization, and imaging techniques. So these are the broad classification of equipment that we have. So if you look at material characterization, we have electron microscopes, we have Raman microscope, IR microscope, X-ray diffraction, thermal analysis, different particle size, analysis, and so on and so forth. So basically, if you came in with your materials, we will probably be able to do a wide suite of analysis to basically solve your problems. So that's in material characterization. In chemical analysis, we have different types of chromatography, spectroscopy for metal analysis, ICP mass spec, LC mass spec, and so on and so forth. This is one of our training sessions. We provide hands-on training. We also do, open webinars for our to showcase our facility and so on and so forth. For example, I myself My research used to be a lot of gas chromatography and liquid chromatography, and now I have kind of shut down my instruments and I use the GC and HPLC in the core facilities. And our charges are very reasonable. So a lot of faculty are using our instruments. We also have faculty from Rutgers, UMD, and J who come on a regular basis to do analysis. The next type of analysis is environmental analysis. We have quite a few instruments. We don't do a lot of high throughputs, EPA certified type of analysis, but we have a lot of the equipment that you need for research type analysis. But we are not opposed to doing large number of samples. If somebody comes and says, well, I have 100 samples to analyze, we can do those things, although we haven't been doing that. So we have different types of chromatographs here. For example, ion chromatography for ions, mass specs, ICP-MS for metals, and so on and so forth. And the other thing that I didn't tell you much about is imaging techniques. We can do a variety of bioimaging, like Raman, IR. We have 2-photon microscope for. We don't have an animal facility, but there's an animal facility across the Rutgers. So people bring their samples, and we have different types of microscopes and so on and so forth. So that is about the York Center. So that's one center. This one went through a $4 million upgrade 2-3 years ago, new building and everything. And, like I said, we have about 125 graduate students and postdocs and companies from outside. The next is the makerspace. And this is a massive facility. I forget the square footage, but it's probably more like 8,000 or 10,000 square feet. And this is a space that is used for teaching instructions and, and also for making prototyping. And I think as companies in the, small company space, especially, you might find, so some of the details are here. And since we are going to share these, I'm not going to go into a lot of details, on some of the things, but this is probably what you'd be most interested in. And this has a variety of 3D printing, including one for making like artificial limbs. It has instruments for 3D scanning. You can do wood, there's a lot of different types of woodworking, we have CNC machines, different types of, metalworking and things like that. And, we can do electronics. I find this very interesting. For example, laser cutting for, for relatively fine structures. I think those have like a few micron resolution. And again, water jet cutting, different hand tools and things like that. This is a perfect place for prototyping. If you are a small company or a large company and you want prototypes built, this is really a very, very convenient facility. So this is our second large core facility, and this is probably like it was initially a $6 million investment, and now I think it's going through another $6 million in investment for upgrade and things like that. And this is a very, very exciting place if you're doing prototyping. The third this is the Microfabrication Innovation Center, and we used to have one, and now it has been shut down, and we are redoing or sort of configuring it with new instruments, and this is going to open in July. So this is a clean room facility, and this is before the facility we had was a very silicon, very electrical engineering, device physics type of an instrument, a facility, clean room facility. Now that has been modified or upgraded to develop sensors, microfluidics, MEMS. You can do photomath fabrication, ultra thin films and things like that. And this is going to come on board in July. And, the clean rooms are done and instruments are being installed right now. And to give you a very quick overview, these are some of the things that we are going to do here. So you can do micro and nano fabrication. And I think the idea would be to make a complete device, focus on devices, some biological, some sensor type applications, and of course others. Silicon will also be there. I guess what is new here is the soft material that is being introduced here. All right, so other than that, there is, like I said, there are 60 other faculty facilities which are sort of core facilities by themselves. For example, I myself have a battery lab and I have a membrane lab. We have a membrane center, and the membrane-based technology development is quite big at NJIT. Nanotechnology is another very big area. Nanotechnology, I'm talking about a whole wide range of nanotechnology, from drug development to explosives development, that we do work with DoD. Variety of nanotech characterization, biological nanotech, looking at, some cell type, nanotech. We also have a brain injury center, which is for transportation, which uses animals to test, explosives, does work with DoD. And I think the brain science has come a long way. We can make a variety of devices, these could be electronic, it could be biological, MEMS devices, electrochemistry, almost everything is involved here. Environmental technology, water treatment, air analysis, metals, some of it we can do in our core facilities, and some of the processing can be done our faculty who have their individual labs. And this is the website if you want to see the individual faculty labs. I just didn't put them up because there are just too many of them. And this is a short 10-minute presentation. Now, microfluidics, for example, microfluidics, we have several faculty working on microfluidic devices. A lot of them are doing biological because that's sort of the, I guess there's a lot of application there, point of care devices. Also PFAS, for example, in the water arena, PFAS, microfluidic devices for PFAS. And we have faculty and, super, computer cluster type applications in the computer science where basically they're focusing on big data. So that's my presentation here, I tried to make it as concise as possible, but feel free to reach out to me or Judith or go to our website to see all the different facilities we have. And you can contact the faculty directly to work on the voucher program. And we also have listed many of these on the brochure that Judith is putting together. So you will get a lot of details there also. And thank you very much. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to, reach out.
Great. Thank you, Soumitra. This was a great presentation from NJIT. The next school that is going to present is Princeton University. So NJIT will stop sharing their screen, and Spencer Reynolds from Princeton will be presenting. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A area. Spencer, over to you.
Okay. Get things up here. Okay, we got our slides okay. All right, hello everyone.
Perfect, perfect, we can see them.
Great, great. All right, hello everyone. I'm Spencer Reynolds from Princeton's Office of Corporate Engagement, presenting this overview of Princeton's core facilities. Princeton's core facilities are generally clustered around Princeton's Institute of Materials, the Department of Chemistry, and the Department of Molecular Biology. So the first facility is the Imaging and Analysis Center, which is part of the Institute of Materials. So the Imaging and Analysis Center is a Princeton core facility providing world-leading instrumentation and expertise to support materials research and education at Princeton and beyond. The center is also an integral part of the Princeton Center for Complex Materials, one of NSF's Materials Research, Science, and Engineering Centers, or MRSECs. So the development of the Imaging and Analysis Center started in 1993 with one person and one electron microscope. And today it's grown to 8 staff members and has become a world-leading center for materials characterization in both physical and life sciences. So here are 3 views of the center from left to right. Is the Cryos G3 transmission electron microscope lab for life science applications. In the center is the center's main hallway. And then on the right is the Themis scanning transmission electron microscope lab for material science applications. And the total lab space here is about 7,500 square feet. So in addition to the Cryos G3 and the Themis STEM, the major instruments in the Imaging and Analysis Center include those shown here. It's a world-class array for materials characterization. And overall, the full range of characterization tools available include optical microscopes and spectrometers, scanning electron microscopes, focused ion beam systems, transmission electron microscopes, XRDs and 3D X-ray imaging, scanning probe microscopes, surface analysis devices, thermal analysis, rheometers, sample preparation, and related computer clusters. So the IAC is also a center of teaching, supporting a total of 15 regular courses on Princeton's campus, including both undergraduate and graduate courses. And the Imaging and Analysis Center also offers short training courses, which involve direct experimental demonstrations and hands-on instruction, ranging from basic sample preparations to high-end electron microscopes. So these 2 to 6 hour courses are offered regularly and frequently every month, and they're open to industrial scientists as well as to Princeton students and students from other universities. So research is our pathway for better teaching. Imaging and Analysis Center scientists collaborate with scholars on interdisciplinary research, and IAC users have authored more than 100 research publications annually. In recent years, more than half of all articles published in Science or Nature by Princeton authors are associated with the IAC. So the center has a long-standing partnership with industry, with industrial users from over 120 local companies using the center for their R&D. So the IAC's industrial outreach program invites industrial scientists to host monthly seminars with Princeton faculty and students. And IAC also regularly organizes site visits to industry for Princeton students. So in conclusion, the Imaging and Analysis Center and its exceptional staff implements high-end, state-of-the-art instrumentation to stimulate materials research and education at Princeton and beyond. We sincerely welcome you to the IAC, and we're here to help you. So next is the Institute of Materials Clean Room, which is a micro-nano fabrication facility. The PRISM Clean Room is a shared research facility used by students, faculty, research staff, and industrial partners. And the work we facilitate in the PRISM Clean Room spans many different types of materials and device engineering, from quantum computing and nanophotonics to microfluidics and MEMS, and dozens in between. The PRISM Clean Room occupies 2 levels of the Andlinger Center for Energy and the Environment building, and it encompasses over 15,000 square feet of space. The Bay Chase Clean Room space occupies 2 levels of the building and encompasses this full 15,000 square feet of class 100 to class 10,000 space. So the facility consists of ISO class 5 to 7 bay style laboratories for wet processing, for deposition, etch, optical lithography, and electron beam lithography. The PRISM Clean Room also has 2 support labs, soft materials processing and packaging laboratories. The soft materials processing laboratory is primarily focused on microfluidic device fabrication from material called PDMS or silicon. In the packaging laboratory, we support processes such as lapping and polishing, dicing, cleaving, flip chip bonding, and wire bonding. Our highly experienced staff are available to provide training to our lab members, along with support and to answer questions. We continually improve the tools, infrastructure, and expertise that support the world-class research occurring in the PRISM Clean Room, so we remain at the cutting edge. The PRISM Clean Room sincerely welcomes industrial users, and the staff are here to help you. So next are the core facilities in the Department of Chemistry. So Princeton's Department of Chemistry has several world-class core facilities available for qualified industrial users. Among them are those shown here, starting in the upper left. The NMR facility offers 7 state-of-the-art NMR spectrometers, uniquely configured with a high level of automation to meet the needs of our researchers. Next, over in the upper right, the Biophysics Core facility houses a wide range of instrumentation dedicated to support biophysical characterization of proteins, DNA, and several other biological macromolecules and their interactions. And it's a joint venture of the molecular biology department and the chemistry department. So the mass spectrometry facility offers first-rate chemical analysis for a variety of needs, from investigating the structure of key intermediates to obtaining publication quality spectra. The crystallography facility offers services for setting up crystallization trials, X-ray data collection, structure determination, and structural analysis, and the facility can assist in the interpretation of existing structures available in the protein data bank and can assist in homology modeling. And finally, the ultra-fast laser spectroscopy facility offers state-of-the-art equipment for measuring dynamics in photoactive materials on femtosecond to millisecond timescales. Last but not least are the facilities in molecular biology. And among these facilities are, starting in the upper left, the confocal microscopy facility, including the Nikon Center of Excellence, which provides laser scanning confocal microscopy and super resolution microscopy, which includes structured illumination and localization types. And these offer the highest light microscope resolution obtainable. So this technology can image single or multiple labeled specimens and can be used to study intact samples, such as developing fish embryos or sections from brain and other tissues that have been tagged with fluorescent probes. Next, in the upper right, the electron microscopy core facility is administered and supported by the Department of Molecular Biology in collaboration with the university's Imaging and Analysis Center at the Materials Institute. This facility provides technical consultation and operational training for every aspect of biological electron microscopy sample preparation and data acquisition and analysis, including single particle cryo-EM structure determination. Next, the proteomics and mass spectrometry core facility has a growing number of mass spectrometers and support equipment for proteomics research that allows us to customize projects to researchers' needs. The histology facility maintains automatic tissue processor, tissue embedding center, rotary microtome, cryostat, and supplemental equipment. And the facility provides hands-on training of sample preparation for histology and immunohistochemistry with paraffin embedded or optimal cutting temperature compound embedded samples, as well as operation training of histology equipment. The flow cytometry resource facility provides access to flow cytometers and cell sorting services and provides technical support to assist in experimental data, design, data analysis, and interpretation, as well as development of novel flow cytometric-based techniques. And last but not least is the genomics core facility, which provides researchers with access to next generation high throughput DNA sequencing technologies. The staff provide consultation on experimental design, library preparation, and data analysis. And the genomics core facility works closely with the bioinformatics staff in the Lewis Sigler Institute for Genomics to provide researchers with cutting edge access and analysis for genomics analysis tools. So this concludes the summary of Princeton's core facilities. All of this information is easily searchable on the Princeton website at princeton.edu, including contact information for each facility. We look forward to working with our industry partners. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Spencer. And I think what you've been able to see with these first several presentations, and we've got some more to go, that there's a lot of great capabilities at our New Jersey research universities. So as a small business, if you know which facility you'd like to work with, great. But if you don't, let us know the kinds of capabilities that you're looking for. And I am sure that one of our academic institutions is going to have the facilities that you need. Our next presenter is Dr. Tabitha Dobbins from Rowan University. Dr. Dobbins.
Thank you for the opportunity to present. And let me share screen and put into projection mode. Apologies for taking a long time to do that. So my name is Tabitha Dobbins. I'm the Vice President for Research and Dean of the Graduate School at Rowan University. I am also a professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at Rowan University. And I'm going to go through our materials processing and characterization abilities and capabilities at Rowan University. We have just developed a PhD program, taking the first cohort of students in material science and engineering, and we see that as one of our core strengths. So throughout this presentation, I will be classifying our capabilities under these categories of microscopy, crystallography, spectroscopy, physical property measurements, coding synthesis, and then finally the related centers and institutes that will have additional measurement capabilities. Before I go any further, I wanted to mention that we are located just about 20 minutes south of Philadelphia. We are about 40 minutes north of the shore in New Jersey, the southernmost shore, I should say, in New Jersey. Cape May, we're about an hour away from there. So this is sort of our location. So coming to our capabilities, in microscopy, we have been fortunate to be able to have some very advanced instruments. These are through National Science Foundation research grant awards. And so about 2 to 3 years ago, we installed this, the newest electron microscope by FEI Thermo Scientific, and it's equipped with a energy dispersive spectroscopy detector. Now you can get, in ideal cases, you can get around 0.8 nanometer spatial resolution. But the very interesting thing here is that we, with the Oxford detector system, we can also do chemical analysis. It's semi-quantitative chemical analysis. You have to do a little bit more standards work in order to ensure the chemistry report outs. But interestingly, we can also do, as you see here on the slide, we can also do some of the spatial mapping, spatial chemical mapping in the sample. And again, again, we're routinely getting down to around 2 nanometers or 2 to 3 nanometer spatial resolution. Our older electron microscope is the Zeiss Leo electron microscope, and it has around 20 nanometer spatial resolution routinely. And again, we have installed the Oxford detector onto that microscope so that you also are able to get the elemental maps and be able to see the exact chemical analysis. And then finally, under the microscopy suite, we move from electron microscopy to atomic force microscopy. This is a scanning probe technique where you're able to actually scan the tip over the surface of your sample to topographically see near atomic resolution of your sample surface. And so this is these are the microscopy instruments that we have available. So moving into crystallography, we have 2 diffractometers. The first is the Panalytical Empyrean X-ray diffractometer. This one was installed in around 2012, and it's unique in the sense that it has 2 additional features. In addition to being able to get our crystalline spacing for a powder sample or for a single crystal sample, we're also able to configure the instrument to give us X-ray reflectivity, so that if you have multi-layers that are in the nanometer scale, you're able to determine the layer thickness. And then as well, we're able to do small angle X-ray scattering with a different reconfiguration of this instrument. With the small angle X-ray scattering, you're able to get particle sizing in the range of nanometers, in tens of nanometers up to hundreds of nanometers. The other unique feature of this instrument is that it's equipped with a hot stage, so you're able to do temperature elevations and analysis of your samples in situ at these elevated temperatures. And of course, we have all of the search match databases available for you. Now, the other diffractometer that we have is a Bruker D8 Discover, and this is able to do alignment of single crystals and many of the other diffraction features that are on the other electron microscope. So moving into our spectroscopy suite of instruments, we have the Horiba Labram HR Evolution. It's a Raman spectrometer, and Raman spectroscopy is able to give you vibrational spectroscopy, your bond vibrational fingerprint of your sample, and it's sensitive to nonpolar as well as polar bonds. And this is complementary to the next instrument. I'll show you the FTIR spectrometer that is sensitive to polar bonds primarily. And so for this instrument, it has confocal imaging. So that means that from the surface down to subsurface, by several micrometers, you're able to actually get your signal from the region that's in focus. So even if it's a subsurface in focus region, you're getting your spectroscopy from that region. And we're able to do mapping, X, Y, and Z mapping of your particular bond type. So this is an example of lithium borohydride, and you can see that this peak here, if we were interested, we could actually find out the spatial region in our sample where this peak would be most prominent, and we can do that because it's equipped with a hot stage. We can do that to elevated temperatures. In this case, we're just showing you the spectroscopy, and we can see how this peak is changing as we elevate the temperature. So this hot stage goes up to about 195 degrees, and still you're able to do under the hot stage, you're still able to do confocal imaging into the sample surface. Along with that, and actually in the same room as it, we have an FTIR spectrometer. And again, this is very sensitive to polar bonds. It's unable to do confocal imaging, but we can actually do spectral microscopy. So we're able to image the surface of your sample and collect the spectroscopy signal from the region of interest. And again, for both of these instruments, we have search match database capabilities. Also under spectroscopy, moving away from microspectroscopy and just into sample spectroscopy, so we're not able to specify on regions of interest, we have a wavelength dispersive spectrometer that's able to assess 42 samples in a single setup, and your samples are either solids or powders that are placed into the sample holder. And we also have a newer than the wavelength dispersive spectrometer. We have the Oxford ED2000 X-ray fluorescence instrument. And again, this instrument is able to give you elemental compositions with a fairly reliable result. So moving on into our physical property measurements, I have two instruments under this category. This is the PPPMS system that's able to give you magnetic properties as well as thermodynamic properties. So we're able to measure things like the magnetization, the magnetic susceptibility, as well as the heat capacity and thermal conductivity of your samples. Under physical properties, we also have the Brookhaven Instruments particle size analyzer, as well as zeta potential analyzer. So with this instrument, you're able to determine the particle size of your particular sample in a fluid solution. Is based on the motion, the Brownian motion of the particle in the solution. But we're also able to apply a bias and actually drive your particles from a one potential region, low potential, to high potential, or vice versa. And based on the rate of motion, we're able to determine the surface charge on those particles based on if we know the size, viscosity, and things like that, we're able to determine the surface charge on those particles. And this is used primarily for particles as well as proteins. And then finally, within the suite of instruments that I'll cover, we have coding synthesis instruments, and we have 4 such instruments that are DC magnetron sputtering coding systems. And these systems are able to allow us to actually sputter from multiple targets at the same time to form a thin film coating onto your sample surface. We also can introduce gases into the system at the same time, so that if you need carbide coatings or oxide coatings and so forth, or nitride coatings, we're able to carry out those depositions. And then when we come to centers and institutes. Rowan University currently has on its website approximately 10 centers and institutes, and we're going to add to the display offering on the website. We're qualifying more centers and institutes to get listed on our website. But the two I want to emphasize here as related to materials characterization and processing are the Advanced Materials Manufacturing Institute, or AMMI. It's led by Dr. Joseph Stanzione, and the key technology that's available in that center is cold spray for forming coatings that are thicker, approximately 200 micrometer coatings of a variety of materials can be formed by cold spray technology. And then the other center that I wanted to mention as related to materials processing and characterization is the CREATE Center. It's our transportation center led by Dr. Yusuf Mehta. And among other things that the center does is, and we have a instrument that does accelerated pavement wear testing. And so you can, at that facility, they're able to lay down actual samples of the asphalt, modified asphalt, or for strength, modified asphalt for heating the pavement for cases where it's for cases where the temperature is very low. They're exploring ways to heat and melt ice using additives to the asphalt. But then the instrument that's available there is able to do a significant amount of wear testing in a very short period of time. So in about 3 months, it's able to replicate approximately a decade of wear testing. So the instruments displayed are housed in our science building, Department of Physics and Astronomy. And also, I didn't display the instruments. We have many more housed in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. And so, but these instruments are usually centrally utilized by researchers here at Rowan, and we welcome industry partners to use these instruments. They may be mail-in use or for training and then operating the instrument yourselves. And just reach out to me. I have placed my information, my contact information onto this slide, and I've shared the slide deck. And so I thank you, and I'll take any questions that you might have at this time.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Tabitha. At this point, we're going to turn it over to Rutgers University, and Vince Maraglia will talk about the core facilities at Rutgers that particularly relate to clean tech and clean energy. Thank you, Vince.
Thanks very much, Judith, and thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about the core facilities at the university. I'm having some trouble here. Okay. Before we get started talking a little bit about the actual core facilities, I wanted to take a moment to define what a research core facility is and why it's useful to emerging clean tech companies. We think of our research cores as in a position through its high-tech instrumentation and technical expertise to provide certain types of research services and data to our company partners. And in our experiences, usually there are twofold reasons why folks are coming to the university. One is to do a little bit of third-party validation of data that the company, the emerging clean tech companies, acquiring on their own, and they'll come to any one of the universities in New Jersey to conduct parallel experimentation, sort of validate clean tech technology. The other is to generate pilot data to become more competitive, for example, with SPIR, STTR grant applications. And we've been able to do that for a number of companies, provide them a modicum of data through providing some research services and data to those companies, which then they can fold into a grant application and make it more competitive, particularly with this, we've seen with SPIR. In terms of use of the equipment, again, there are two approaches. One is, having a conversation with our core directors, scoping out the project, and then having them along with their technicians, conduct the work and provide written progress reports and data reports. The other is depending on the technology and the needs, to come into the university as a visiting scientist and work side by side with the core to get a project done and potentially learn about the use of some of the high-end instruments. In this voucher program, the way we're structuring it is I'm working closely with our financial team, Tina Estalore, to reach out to potential voucher recipients, answer any questions, get the core directors involved in answering technical questions, and then we'll sort of one-stop shopping process the vouchers through the research office, which is where I sit together with my colleague Tina. So I did want to mention that, and I'll provide some contact information at the end on that score. But keep that in mind in terms of projects that we can provide pilot data for sharing with other corporate collaborators, or simply to make some of your grant applications more competitive. So in terms of the cores, I highlighted a couple of the cores that are have focused or worked with clean tech companies. The first is a microfabrication facility that's on the Piscataway campus. And you can see here, they've been involved in creating different types of environmental sensors and fabricating those prototypes. You can see some of the key resources in terms of photolithography, plasma etching, and a number of techniques that some of my colleagues have gone over in the presentations earlier. The Eco Complex is a different type of core facility. They do have quite a bit of analytical equipment, and they get more of their collaborations going with visiting scientists who want to come to the Eco Complex and work on, for example, scale-up of technology and validation of technology. They also have certain capabilities because they've helped so many companies in the past, help with a little bit with business development and partnering, as well as composing SBIR grant applications. This is one of the chemical analysis cores we have in our Environmental and Occupational Health and Safety Institute. They have a variety of instrumentation in terms of mass spec, chromatography, organic and inorganic analysis, and HPLC, and they've been used quite a bit over the last 20 or 30 years with some of our clean tech partners. This core is based out of our material science department, and they have quite a number of techniques at their disposal. Some of the ones that stand out have to do with chemical analysis of carbon recapture. They're currently working with a company that's working on carbon recapture. They've also got techniques like Raman, FTIR, synchrotron probe testing, and a variety of X-ray diffractors. Polyrun is a core that's a chemical analysis core that's up in our Newark campus, whereas the Oshie core is based in Piscataway. A lot of the companies in northern New Jersey have been working with our Polyrun core, and they also have Raman, but they do a lot of thermal gravimetric analysis, rheometric analysis, and light scattering analysis. In terms of all these core facilities, there's been a lot of requests recently for sort of crunching the data analysis. So we've highlighted one of the cores that's in this core is actually in New Brunswick, but they've worked statewide to do some data analysis and statistical analysis together with our Caliburn supercomputer, and they can provide data repository services, data analysis and services, as well as statistical analysis. And they've been successfully partnering with companies in the past. I think that's it. The last thing I wanted to mention is if there are any of these cores that interest you, to send me an email or call or text my phone number, and I can get you in front of the relevant core director to answer some of your technical questions and start the voucher process, partnering closely with you to process the vouchers that are coming through the New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. Thanks very much.
Great, Deb. Thank you, Vince. And again, I hope one of the things you picked up from Vince's presentation, and I think you saw it from a number of the other academic institutions, it's not just equipment, but also some of the analytic data processing capabilities, as well as the linkage that can help you apply for SBIR, STTR grant opportunities, which is another initiative that the Commission is very interested in. At this point, we're going to hear two presentations from Stevens University. I think we're going to start with Marianne Piazza and then turn to Dr. Mohammed Haj. So Marianne, take it away.
Hi everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so the approach I'm taking is a little bit different than the others. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Marianne Piazza, and I am the Executive Portfolio Manager for Stevens Institute in the Office of Research and Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And today we're going to share with you just a very synopsized overview of some of our wide range of capabilities. And then we're going to do a deeper dive into one of the centers that I think really has it's a showcased facility for Stevens, and it has a world-renowned reputation, which is our Davidson lab. So I'm just going to start by overviewing. I'm going to work right to left. So we are the home of a variety of centers, two of which are national centers. We have our Systems Engineering Research Center, and Stevens is one of the key universities, and it was one of the first universities to offer a dedicated school to systems engineering. And we have an extensive bandwidth and capability in that arena. We also have a defense-oriented maritime security center, and I just learned we are about to be awarded another national center, which is going to be a financial technology center, which is a testament to our capabilities in financial engineering. And we have a variety of other scientific centers, system centers, and business centers, which are listed there. As far as our laboratories are concerned, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the first one because certainly our next presenter, Professor Haj, is going to cover that. But we have a world-class tow tank, which he will go through. We have high-performance computing capabilities. We have a very advanced multi-scale imaging capability lab, a micro device laboratory. We have a variety of capabilities in spectroscopy. And we also have, and I'll just go through a couple of them, we include, we have electron microscopes, electron beam lithography, energy loss spectroscopy. In our another highly filled material institute, we can generate nanocomposites. We can explore any variety of elements with polymers, use of polymers. We have advanced extrusion capabilities. If I go down into the last one, which is our prototype lab, we have a very senior select 3D printing shop. And it has a clean room capability, and it is a really nice setup there if those capabilities are of interest to you. And last, on the far left, are a list of a variety of our capabilities, and our capabilities are truly widespread. So we have labs and faculties that can generate solar cells. We do a lot of energy-oriented technology. We have a variety of experimentation and laboratories dedicated not only to grid optimization, but also to creating new batteries with new materials and testing capability, looking for lower energy uses and so forth. We have very, very senior photonics capabilities. When we get to LiDAR sensing capabilities, our laboratory is probably one of the best in this geographic area. In cybersecurity, we have a variety of activities, including encryption and blockchain technologies that we think are fairly innovative. Simulation, we can do all sorts of simulation. We've got some very nice computer vision capabilities and 3D object recognition capabilities. Similarly, in processing, as I mentioned earlier, extrusion, we have micro device fabrication, 3D printing. In robotics, we have a variety of machine learning capabilities and testing features. Biomedical, we run the gamut of tissue engineering, tissue reconstruction, all the way to advanced imaging. FinTech, as I just mentioned, we are about to become a national laboratory for financial technology, which is very exciting for us. And we also, in the business area, we have a stock floor trading simulation lab, which is really amazing to look at. In chemistry, we have a variety of microscopy, we have tissue engineering, we have a variety of drug discovery initiatives, and of course, systems engineering, which is, it's really a phenomenal capability that we have, which applies to multiple disciplines. I'd like to now introduce Professor Haj, and I'm going to stop sharing. Professor Haj is going to go into a more detailed overview of our world-renowned Davidson lab. Mohammed?
Thank you, Marianne. I hope everybody can.
You pushed, okay, yes, you're perfect.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Mohammed Haj, and thank you everyone for joining today, and thanks to you, Judith, for this important webinar. I'm glad and honored to speak to everyone today. Let's see. So, you know, the Davidson Lab is an enterprise that addresses many issues confronting naval architecture, anything related to coastal and ocean engineering, physical oceanography, marine hydrodynamics, and other issues that are facing natural and human-made maritime systems and activities. Why are we relevant? You know, this is the blue economy, which is economy associated with ocean resources, maritime transport, renewable energy, fisheries, tourism, climate change, waste management, and coastal resilience. You know, if you look at it worldwide, this is $1.5 trillion a year economy. About, you know, 90% of the population of New Jersey live in coastal regions. Mitigating storm impacts, you know, that could cause significant losses in the billions of dollars yearly is an important part. And again, we are working in support of marine energy and defense industry. We are unique in some of our facilities. This is our towing tank here. It's a unique facility because of its size. It's 100 meters long. That's like 2 blocks in Hoboken, almost. If you think about it, it has, you know, we can generate waves that are up to 2 feet high. We have the fastest towing speed. We could go at, you know, amazingly high speeds, but we don't go usually at these high speeds because the drag, because the forces become an issue. So we go at about 30 to 50 feet per second. We have other equipment. We have 2 research vessels. We could do measurements all over the coast, physical, chemical, biological properties of anything. We have a fleet of drones to look at sediment transport along the coasts and sediment erosions and beach nourishment and so on. And we have, of course, jet ski, which we call them personal watercraft. We have a high performance computer cluster that is designated just to perform Stevens flood advisory system when hurricanes or other nor'easter storms form. We take models, weather models, European, American, Canadian models, and we generate many ensembles, and then we run these ensembles in order to be able to provide a 4 to 5 day prediction of street level floodings in coastal areas such as Hoboken here. And this is what we predict. We predict a lot of properties, water temperature, salinity, wave profiles, wind, all of these things. And we have historical data that goes back, I think, about 40 years of surface currents and temperatures and so on. So we maintain a very large database. Surface and underwater vehicles, let me just show you here. So these are some of the tests that we run at high speeds. You could see, I'm gonna go through some of these videos. And just to give you an example, 2 weeks ago, we had an ONR program manager here, looking at some of the work we're doing with a small business. 2 weeks before, a DARPA program manager was here looking at some of the work we do here. They were both very happy. We were working on a few things here that I'm not showing yet today. But okay, this is the same video. We are also working on powering the blue economy. Powering the blue economy, this is an example of what we test in order to generate energy from tides or currents. This is with a company in New York. Our facility is unique in terms of being able to do that. This is one of our funded projects by the DOE to design a 100 kilowatt energy converter to be placed at the Packwave South in Oregon. I need to say something here. We are a DOE testing facility. In addition to all of what we do for DOE, there is a program at DOE called TEAMER. If you have a concept, if you have a design for a specific wave energy or marine hydrokinetic energy system, we could support you to write a proposal to get it tested at Stevens. So this is on coastal research. We look at storm impact, living shores, field work. Our own John Miller is actually a co-author of New Jersey's Living Shore plans. We do a lot of work on technical assistance services. We do work for Sea Grant extension and Living Shores as well. I will not go through this video for the sake of time, but these are what we do with the storm surge predictions. We predict surface currents, wind profile, wave profiles here. We do that on a continuous basis. If you go to our website now, you could see these plots. You generate them for today. I think you generate them for the last 2 weeks and for the expected next few days. This is our most recent one. We are looking at getting our own observatory system in order to be able to predict urban flooding, high resolution urban flooding, and we're planning to develop a situation room like this. So I just talked about one part of what we do in the Davidson lab related to water and so on, but within the department and the lab, we have a program on smart infrastructure. We could test anything related to structures, monitoring of structures, and so on. Building technology, we could do, we are developing new ways for project management, cost management, and so on. We're working, not me, but my colleagues in the department are working on that. We have our own greenhouse that we hope to get it going here in August, if you have a use for it. We have a nonlinear vibrations and acoustics laboratory that is equipped with some of the best equipment. We have what's called acoustic sensing. We could do energy harvesting. We could do wireless energy transmission. Could do a lot of work on energy harvesting and energy transmission in this lab. And we have also a process and geosystems engineering laboratory with geoenvironmental conditions, looking at pathogen transport in groundwater and so on. So if there's anything related to environment, if there's anything related to structures, if there's anything related to oceans, I think we have it covered at Stevens. And with that, thank you, Judith, again, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mohammed. And we'll now have our last university presentation from Stockton University, and Peter Straub is going to give the presentation on Stockton's capabilities.
All right. Thank you, Judith. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there. I really appreciate it. My name is Peter Straub, and I'm the Dean of Natural Sciences and Mathematics at Stockton University. Here's a shot of our beautiful Lake Fred at sunset. While we're not primarily a research university, we do have select research capabilities, and we have an excellent faculty. We tend to work one-on-one with different groups. I want to thank all my colleagues for setting the stage and also talking about some of the instrument types, clusters, and things. We do a lot of what has already been talked about on a smaller scale. Okay. Oh, there we go. Basically, I'll talk about our Unified Science Center and our instrumentation program and our Marine Science and Coastal Research Center. Our Unified Science Center has a number of excellent facilities, including for biochemistry and biology, or chemistry and physical science, including separation science, spectroscopy, crystallography, and characterization. These are just a list of some of the instrumentation. Most of the instruments have been gone over in the other presentations. I will just point out that most of these instruments, would be potentially available, and they could be used for methods development, working directly with our staff, or as visiting scientists coming in and working directly with our faculty. For the most part, some of these are funded by NSF, including our sequencers and our genetic analyzers. The rest of the materials basically are primarily for teaching, but are also used for research. We've worked closely with the FAA and with Department of Homeland Security in particular. We did a lot of work on explosives detection, so we have some of the equipment for that as well. Also within microscopy, atomic force microscope, and also a confocal microscope. In the area of marine science, which Dr. Hodge just talked a bit about as well, we also have very good capabilities. We have a marine field station, which is equipped for coastal and bay sampling, biota sampling, all kinds of survey, as well as our Coastal Research Center. And this is a look at our Marine Field Station in Port Republic, New Jersey, where our vessels are kept and most of our capabilities are. We also work extensively out of Atlantic City. In particular, we've done a lot so far to help support the offshore wind industry. So if any type of demonstration, testing, materials testing, testing for things that are going to be put out in terms of energy systems in the coastal ocean, we have facilities for placement, both in deep water or onshore, in near coastal, in order to test materials and see how things work out, particularly for the wind industry. These are our vessels for coastal, again, studies and energy studies. The RV Petrel is our primary offshore vessel, which is a 36-foot oceanographic boat. And then we have several other smaller vessels as well, which can be used for mapping, for testing and placement of materials such as foundations for wind turbines or any other energy type wave activated conversion of power systems. We can provide support for these as well. We are primarily on our Stockton Galloway campus, which you can see on the right, but we also have a new campus in Atlantic City, which we are developing, and we have access to sites for testing of materials, again, on beaches, near shore, wave generation. So those type of facilities are available through our Stockton Atlantic City campus as well. And these are my contact information is on the screen, as well as the Stockton websites and the site for our School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics. And thank you very much for your attention. And I look forward to working with some of you in the future. Thanks, Judith.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Peter. So this has been the run through of all of the university presentations. Again, I would certainly encourage any of the startup companies who are working in the clean tech, clean energy space. If you're not sure which academic institution you'd like to work with, you can, again, through the process that we outlined, start your application process, and we will then share it with the university committee, which is made up of the individuals who have been participating on this call, and they'll be able to help determine who may have the best set of equipment to meet your needs. Because again, you might not know I want to use this particular piece of equipment. You might need to know this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And again, our academic university team will be able to help figure out how they're going to be able to help you meet that particular need. We will be posting not only a recording of this presentation on our website, but we will be posting copies of the individual presentations, which will give you an opportunity to go back somewhat at your leisure to peruse the information that's available. Additionally, on the Commission on Science and Technology's website around the Clean Tech R&D voucher program, we have an asset map that enables you to take a look at the capabilities. You can see where they're located throughout the state. Again, we've got, as you could see, capabilities throughout the entire length of New Jersey, which means if you're a company in North Jersey, there's lots of academic facilities in the northern part of the state, the central part of the state, the southern part of the state, so that we can find locations that are convenient to help you make and do the work that you are interested in. In terms of questions, I saw there was a question again asking about whether we were making presentations available. And again, those presentations will be made available to the attendees and registrants, as well as on our CSIT website. I'm taking another quick look in the chat, and I do not see any other questions other than a lot of thank yous for some really excellent presentations by our academic partners. So with that, I will conclude the webinar, and thank you for participating in the Clean Tech R&D voucher program. I think you can see that there's a lot of capabilities at our academic institutions that we'd like to leverage to help move forward and grow the clean tech ecosystem within New Jersey. It aligns with Governor Murphy's strategic plan, and we want to be able to make resources available from our universities to our small businesses and our startup community. Thank you very much.